how can you keep improving the culture of your company and take it to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, for me, is just being hyper focused on values. Everything in conversation just comes back to values. Like, we have 5 very clear values. Everybody was hired on them into the first place of alignment, and then that's what we use as far as all our training. It's like a cult. It's one of those things. Then, like, even when I come back and there's all this, and there's like offsites I don't even know about that are happening all about culture. And so I think like focusing on values and then focusing on just that mission, and just staying like hyper true as far as to that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My name is Joel Camargo. I am your host, and my guest today is Joshua Host, funnily enough, who is the CEO of Thrivelab. Josh, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Joe.
Why don't we start off with you just telling everyone a little bit more about yourself, about Thrivelab. What is Thrivelab? Who are you? Who do you help? And any other context you'd like to share about the company as well?
Yeah, for 23 years, I've been on a mission to build platforms of self-actualization, like just trying to figure out like how to turn 1 ounce of effort into 10 pounds of cure. And so during that time, I've been able to work with some special teams. About 8 years ago, I was struck by a car while I was on my bike, and it left me with a traumatic brain injury. So I ended up with a lot of symptoms that went unresolved until I read a paper by Harvard Medical School on the off-label treatment of traumatic brain injuries with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So along with my clinical co-founders, we created an end-to-end AI health tech platform that's been able to reduce the time to treatment and the cost of treatment by over 60%. And in the meantime, be named as the second best women's clinic in the country, and with over 1,000 5-star reviews.
That's awesome. And talk to me a little bit more about the, not really the mechanisms of what you guys do really in the background of like all the minute details, but really in that speed aspect of things. I think so many people are so caught up in the, hey, I don't think this is for me, or if I do take action, it's going to take months in any case. So how do you guys tackle that problem of being able to be so much faster through the telehealth aspect of things and help the patients with the therapy that they need?
Yeah, it's interesting because like often when we're working on a system that we've had a lot of experience with, then we kind of accept things as norms. Yeah, and I think it's interesting sometimes to look at things through a different lens, and then just completely re-engineer the approach or that patient, in our case, patient journey. And so that's I think what we did, and by doing that, like what we identified is there was like a lot of bottlenecks or a lot of contingent places that we could adjust the patient experience to be able to accelerate on time to treatment and time to medication. And so what we found is that in each place where we were able to shave time, it responded to improved patient satisfaction, improved conversion rates, and improved retention.
Interesting. And have you found like there to be a pattern that a lot of these patients are going through, be it men, be it women, like things that they are dealing with on a day-to-day, but they are oftentimes not ready, or they don't want to combat it up front, or be face-to-face with their problems to deal with it on the back end? Have you found that there's a specific things that men and women are going through to take action on the things that they need to work on for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, with Thrivelab, it's very symptom-led, like the challenges that patients are facing or really affect quality of life. We're in the beginning of a hormone imbalance epidemic. It affects 72% of Americans between the ages of 40 and 64 years old. And so it's because of environmental toxins, chronic stress, diet, the way we live our lives. And so, what we find is a lot of times patients are very symptom focused on here's the issues I'm dealing with, but they don't know necessarily why they're dealing with those issues. And so, I think a big piece of that then is education. But the challenge is we also live in a world that we don't want to we don't want to have to go through this investigation of figuring it out, so you have to kind of to deduce it into easy to follow steps. And so I think that's kind of the magic, is like to be able to compress it down into small and easy steps, and then support them throughout that process.
That's interesting. Would you be, and you don't have to give me a specific step by step here, but I would love to understand kind of what a walkthrough looks like for a patient coming in who really wants to improve their own more hormone balance, go through the right sort of therapy. How long does that usually take? Is it just a couple of calls that they're having online to then figure out what their process goes through? What their specific process should be? Are you guys holding their hand throughout their entire thing? What does that look like?
Right. So the patient will initially start, like either they'll come to us. It kind of depends a little bit how they come to us. So,
Okay.
like we have a very strong referral program,
Hmm.
and so those patients will come through like a referral link of another
Hmm.
patient,
Hmm.
or they may see something about us online, or just may be through an organic search.
Okay.
And so in all those, they're very tailor-made
Hmm.
experiences based off gender, age, symptom, and then the patient will go through a self-assessment process to identify like what are their primary symptoms, like high severity symptoms, and we capture all the self-assessment information. They book they provide some initial recommendations. They'll book an appointment with a provider, and then they go through an intake process. And the combination then of all their self-assessment and medical
Hmm.
information, any labs that they may have, ultimately then produces a patient plan. And
Mm.
so like our current AI engine, we're in the third version right now, so it's like based off, over 40,000 patient interactions, has a 98% first pass rate,
Mhm.
so it's been able to drive a pretty phenomenal savings in time as far as for providers and patients.
Oh, interesting. So no matter their situation, their journey, regardless of what it's happening, it's always going to be tailored to that specific patient coming through. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, there's just the number of variables when it comes to hormone health,
Yeah.
especially on women. Like men are a little bit more simplistic, but for women going through menopause would probably have the highest number of variables as far as the type of medications, the application type, the dosage, titration,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be modifications as their bodies work to absorb, work to respond as far as to and kind of right size. So it's just
Hmm.
in that, to be able to rise above just only the neuristic side, but also capture the data that we have as far as for patients based off their medical ICPs
Hmm.
and experiences to determine like, hey, like this is more than likely the best course. And then based off their
Hmm.
responsive signals, the recurring self-assessments, then we're able to make adjustments as far as in their drug intervention plan.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And you mentioned referrals being a big aspect of people
Yeah.
finding out about you guys. Is that the main way that people are finding out about Thrivelab and
It's a
really?
massive chunk. Yeah,
Mm.
it's a big chunk is through referrals. But patients have a great experience, and then they tell family members, friends.
Mhm.
A lot of our patients have their spouse or partner
Mm.
on as well too. So that's very common.
Interesting. And you also said AI. I know, and I know so many companies that I've spoken with now are doing the best that they can to implement AI into the systems
Yeah,
internally, be it with the operations, whatever it might be. Are you guys also using that in terms of client acquisition as well?
yeah. So we use top of funnel like first as far as in segmentation, development of ads and landing pages,
Yeah.
p- uh, patient engagement, like
Mhm.
at various levels in the funnel, um, view through chat and email
Mhm.
um, and SMS, and we're right now like close on voice.
Mhm.
Um, and then we have like the scheduler, and so like we a big part of our team right now has just been focused on AI implementation.
And have you guys found that implementation, the adaptation to be challenging in any sense, be it either on the creation side of things for the marketing assets or on the execution, the implementation for the back end nurturing, all those things? How are you guys finding that entire process to be able to, of course, leverage that as a way to keep growing the business?
Well, I mean, with your background space and where you've been helping your clients do, I think you've seen this like evolution as far as of AI tools.
Yeah.
So when we first started working on AI tools 4 years ago, like what was available was pretty nascent. Like what we could do was pretty basic. There were
Yeah.
still a lot of holes. A lot of times it was more like decision trees than really true AI. And the
Hmm.
knowledge base that it would pull from like was pretty clunky. So it
Yeah.
left a lot of a lot of room for error. And really required a lot of either build out of those knowledge base, like, but now like with where things are at, it's wild. I mean, like I think both me and you are just, it's like a big playground, you know, like our dev team was out here for an offsite yesterday, and like we're all just, I feel a little bit like Candyland, you know, for it's big coconut.
Okay. Like, remind me where right here is again. Where exactly?
I'm in El Salvador.
El Salvador. That's what it was. That's what it was. Awesome.
They're cleaning a room right now.
No, it's all good. It's all good, and it's interesting. It's interesting because did you find that having, how many people came through for the offsite?
14.
14. Awesome. Did you find that, because I think one of the advantages of nowadays, talking like we're like old, right? But nowadays is, of course, with the remotes and everything, is being able to be anywhere on the world. Doesn't really matter where, as long as you have the internet connection, then you can have those conversations, really work on the business, all those things. Did you find that having the on-site, everybody in the same place, really knocking heads and going through these ideas had outweighed returns on figuring out things with AI or the customer success, whatever it might be? Was that something that you found that is very, very valuable? And is it something that you do very often as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, so we for the executive team, we'll have, you know, offsites twice a year, and then but luckily our dev team is all pretty located in the same place, and so it makes it works as far as for us to do these offsites. But we're primarily a remote only team. Like we have no headquarters. We have no brick and mortar. Like I have in my other business, I own a resort, and so it makes it very easy from a design standpoint, like just to have people come and stay. You know, so team members are pretty consistently come in and stay with.
That's really, really cool. I find that people, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I think so many people have now gotten almost like blind to the whole remote thing, which I think is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for remote. I think it's one of the best things ever. But having like the little specks of, hey, come in person, have this team 100%. Together, like it makes a difference, right?
Oh, but I think for the big epiphanies, you know, because that's what I find is like, you know, like at leadership, like in like a remote leadership meetings, you know, we're catching small strides. You know, like iterative improvements. But I find through offsites that there's a higher potential for hits on massive epiphanies. Like, so I would say like a lot of like the really big pieces that have made a change or difference in our model have like come from those.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And I'm interested to also just understand, and I don't want to share any numbers here that you shared with me when we had our first conversation, but as the company keeps growing, and you guys are, of course, I'm assuming, want to keep growing, and you're looking towards those goals, I think there's always like the phases in the company. Like you have the 0 to million, a million to 3 to 10, 10 to like all these phases, right? And there's always going to, like, what takes you from one place doesn't take you to the next place, right? So there's always these different constraints that are coming through. I'm wondering for you guys, what are some of those challenges that are so much different than the challenges from when you're first starting, but are starting that are now the ones that are top of mind? Because I think for so many of the early phases, the client acquisition, all these things are the things that need to be figured out, the systematize all these things. But I wonder what that looks like for you guys now, if it is the client acquisition and it's the implementation of AI, whatever that might be, or if it's something else.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. Yeah. I mean, certainly like at each revenue stage, or you know, there's some kind of big milestones in that kind of startup development. And, you know, I think right now, like we're just at scale. You know, so like we have market traction, you know, we hit profitability, and we have like a lot of the components now in place, and everything's enterprise ready. And so it's just scale.
Interesting. Is there any aspect, and I don't know if you clarified this for me when I actually first had our conversation, is there any aspect of what you guys are doing? There is actually. Most of what you guys have been doing up until this point was direct to consumer, but there's been some shifts into going a little bit more B2B as well. Is that something that you want to talk about or not?
You know, yeah. I mean, like I think we're just iterating what we've found as far as in the last 4 years is like is some certain areas of strengths or assets that can be iterated. Like resources that we can iterate, and so you know that's opened up different B2B options, and also some vertical integration opportunities that, I think like ultimately, it's funny. It's like before 2021, everything's been all about revenue growth, just top line revenue growth for the last, I don't know, 15 years. And, I think the shift, like hitting such a challenging capital market was painful, but it was such a godsend, because it allowed, I think, this hyper focus on financial stewardship. And so then I think, now I'm looking forward, it puts like the companies that have made it through the last 4 years in a really incredible position, because they don't have these bad habits. Like, cause if you can't make it through that, you couldn't have made it through it with those bad habits. Everybody that turned into zombie companies are so
you're right.
Now I think it's like everybody's pretty fit, a little emaciated, but like ready to ready to go, because also you needed to have product fit. Like if you didn't have good product fit, if you don't have good reviews, I look at some of our competitors that have terrible reviews, and like it's only a matter of time, because it's just a marketing game at that point, right? Because you're not keeping those customers, so then it's just like a marketing machine. So I think like that is going to be interesting now with some of the changes, especially with AI adoption and market changes, to like see then, who the winners are going to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like so many people with like battle scars and black eyes and all these things. The other side actually survived. And it's so interesting. I was literally looking at earlier today, I saw like the new Google tool for ad creation, all these things. And it's like, I cannot tell it apart from the real thing. So like being able to leverage those things is so awesome. Go ahead.
It's like the other thing too to that is, which is really interesting, is, when you start to talk to colleagues at other companies, or even in internal colleagues, and some folks are like, oh, AI is not there. Like it's just not there, and it's not going to be there for a while. Like putting the focus on that. And it's funny, you would think that those conversations wouldn't be happening, but I'm just blown away. Like even in hiring right now, like we're hiring for a few key roles, and some of those conversations are to me incredible, because I think I could probably speak for both of us when I say, like, if a massive portion of your time right now is not dedicated to AI, I'm concerned for you.
Yeah.
I'm like really concerned for you.
Yeah. Check mark on that for me.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting. I have a couple of final questions here for you, Josh. And one, it's actually, I'm so curious to hear your perspective on this, because I've been asking this to almost everybody that I've had on the podcast, just because I think it takes off like that ceiling of thinking. Like people can think outside the box, whatever it might be. So I'll start with that one, and then we'll go on to my final question for you. But this one is, when looking at the business goals, the targets, whatever you guys are looking to achieve, there are often so many priorities that we are looking at, so many things that we want to focus on. But let's just say you had this magic wand and you could just solve one thing. So out of the million that I'm assuming you have to deal with on a daily basis, just solve one thing that would allow you to hit those growth goals, those targets, all those things that you have for the company. What's the one thing you like to solve with your magic wand wave?
I mean, if I was to be vague, it would be AI implementation. I mean, I don't think there's anything. It's just like almost should be industry agnostic. That's the one thing right now that's the absolute game changer. I don't know what else is going to make a difference.
Just being able to have that across all sectors, the marketing, the customer success,
total fun.
Everything. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, especially in healthcare. I mean, like, you think about the amount of data that we have as a healthcare company is massive.
Yeah.
And the ability then to take that data, like even in our diagnostic engine, like to have a 98% first pass rate, and then what that translates to as far as outcomes for patients, and how much that's reduced it down. Like, so we're the only player in the space that actually has all of our insurance contracts, because we can afford to take insurance because of the cost structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's some good stuff. Thank you. I love that answer. And you'd be surprised. Not many people gave me a similar answer to that when answering that.
Really? Yeah. I'm shocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that keeping us all up at night? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And then final question that I have here for you, Josh. It's actually not a question from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had no idea who you were. So, are you ready for the question?
Interesting. I mean, yes, I'm
here it is.
all ears.
So, here's the question. How can you keep improving the culture of your company and take it to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, for me, is just being hyper focused on values. Like everything in conversation just comes back to values. Like we have 5 very clear values. Everybody was hired on them into the first place of alignment, and then that's what we use as far as all our training. It's like a cult. You know, it's one of those things. Then like even when I come back and there's all this, and there's like offsites I don't even know about that are happening all about culture. And so I think like focusing on values and then focusing on just that mission, you know, and just staying like hyper true as far as to that. And, you know, it's interesting because what I find is people more than ever, what they want is purpose. That's what they want. That's what they want. And so, you know, if people are aligned as far as on values, then they know how to communicate, your company can scale. Like if it's not, then it starts to become very fuzzy after 100 people. And then I think on top of that, like if they could see how their work is changing people's lives, I think then you have a recipe to build like a cult-like company, you know, that can really go out and make a difference in the world.
That's awesome. I love that, especially the part of telling them and making sure that they know how whatever they're doing has an impact. Because I think so many people they're lost, right? They're like, they're doing it day to day, but they don't see
like, what am I doing?
It
doesn't matter.
I want to mind all these things. Yeah, awesome, Josh. This has been such an incredible conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you, about Thrivelab, anything that you'd like to share?
Be an honor to be able to support anybody listening on their hormone health needs. Where you can find us at thrivelab.com, and we support patients nationwide. We're covered by all the major insurance payers.
Amazing. I'll, of course, leave all the links down below here if you want to check them out. If you're still watching up until now and you want to hear more conversations like this, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thanks, Joe.